It's the Danny and Rory Friday Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Friday Podcast with me, Danny.
And me, Rory.
So we're fucking hell, what are we talking about? So our first topic today, we are going to be talking about the negative side to the gaming industry. What are your thoughts, Rory?
Well, I think the state of the industry at the moment, there's a lot of anti-consumer practices happening. So they're putting money over quality, and they're adding a lot of microtransactions where they shouldn't really be. And there's a lot of reports of post-review changes. So the game will be released, it'll be reviewed positively for its lack of microtransactions or its lack of monetization of cosmetic features, and then or pay to win features as well. And then after the reviews come out and people have bought the game, they then add a patch into the game digitally, which adds microtransactions. They did this with Crash Team Racing, the re-release. They did it with that. They've done it with Shadow of War, the sequel to Shadow of Mordor. But they did actually take those out of Shadow of War. But it's just really, at the moment, the entire industry just needs to take a look at itself and think what is best to bring consumers back. With the state of everything at the moment, people are turning to video games for escapism and socialising.
The thing is, though, in terms of what we were talking about, the negative side to, like the products and the gaming industry and everything.
I was going to get to that.
All right.
Well, what I was saying were, with this, people are turning more to video games now because of the pandemic. It's increased by 40%, the audience of video games, over the last sort of 18 months. And for them to have these predatory transactions and targeted marketing systems, especially aimed at like children, to spend money, it's wrong, and it's just like making people. It's turned into a form of gambling in some respects. Not every respect, but sometimes, especially the pay to win. It's more and loot boxes and stuff like that.
The thing is, it never used to be like that, though.
No,
it never used to be, oh, right, you know what, I'll just play on PlayStation 1 for a bit. Oh, maybe I can get an add-on. Yeah. I'll pay 20 quid for an add-on.
They didn't really do add-ons, that's the thing. Back when it were like PS1, PS2, they never really did it until sort of the roll of the 8th generation, the PS3.
That's the point I was trying to get at there. It's not right, is it?
No. It's like you used to play for the sake of playing a game, for the escapism, for the story, the characters, and now it's you play for the competition, which, fair enough, people have been playing for competition for years, but they've made it so that you have to put even more money into premium priced games, like games that are £60 and £70 on release, with the new generation of consoles that have just been released last year. And they're making it so that you have to spend quite a large amount of money on one game and then add even more money to it to get the most out of it, and it's just wrong.
But you see, I think that's how the companies are getting more money.
Yeah, it is.
That's how they build on it. They say, oh yeah, so we'll sell a £500 console, sell these games for about 30 to 60 quid. If it's special edition, probably 70, 80 quid. On top of that, it's alright, we'll add some add-ons that you can purchase on store. £7.99 for the small stuff and about 40 quid for the big stuff.
Yeah, you can get these things now called season passes, and they've been around a while. But they have it's like a bundle of content, but you pay for it. It's like you say, it's about 30 quid, and you pay for it, and then the content is sort of drip fed to you over time. And it's like, if you buy this now, you'll get access to these features when they're released, or you can pay for them separately, and it'll cost you even more money. So that 30 quid is actually a saving. And if you pay it all separately, it can work out at like £50-60 sometimes.
It's a shame, really.
Yeah,
I mean, you're burning a hole in your pocket.
and you don't even know if what you're paying for is worth the money because you don't know what you're getting until it's released.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's a shame.
Yeah.
It really is.
But I think there's a lot of negativity at the moment, but for people to sort of feed on that and take advantage, it's anti-consumer. For people who've been with these companies like Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, people who've been with these companies for years, as customers, buying the products and spending the money, for them to be preyed on and taken advantage of when they are sort of in a situation that is not their control, it's not fair, and they do need to look at themselves and think, what can we do to be more consumer friendly and business sensible as well, because there is a balance, but they do tend to sort of tip the scales and in their favour to make the most money. But the video game industry is worth more than films and music combined.
But that's the thing. That's a problem. I mean, video games is good, and living in another world is good, but paying more money for the video game you're playing, like I say, it's just out of the question. Whereas you watch a film at the cinema, you're paying £8, and then you get the DVD, you can watch it anytime. DVD, Blu-ray, digital, watch it anytime. Whereas you're purchasing all these add-ons for your video games. In total, if they didn't sell those video games separately, just a minute. If they didn't sell those video games separately and you had those add-ons included on the disc, how much do you think that video game would be?
Oh, it'd be well over £100. Because the thing is with these add-ons, the story add-ons, character packs, weapon skins, all that kind of stuff, it's content that was cut from the game. If the game's been completed with that content in, it's then been removed from the final cut of the game, and you pay for it to be added back in. It's they did it with Fallout 3, I think. They completed the entire game with every downloadable content pack, and then they separated it up into sections, and there's about 5 or 6 story add-ons for that game, and you pay for them all separately, and it works out at about £40. But then if you buy they'll then re-release the game in like an Ultimate Edition or a Legendary Edition, whatever they want to call it. And it's like a special edition that compiles all the downloadable content and the full game into one package, which is what it should be anyway. And they'll charge another £60 for it. And it's just...
It's not right, and especially for the... Sorry. It's not right, and especially for the people that are putting their money to it, and say like, what about those people that are? I hate to say it, and that aren't as better off, but they want to play these games, and it's not fair on them.
No, for people who are not as financially stable as other people, to be, especially at the moment, because people are they're struggling for jobs, struggling for money, struggling for food, and their way of escapism might be playing video games, but can they afford to do that as well? Because struggling to pay your electric bill, you won't be able to play video games if you can't afford your electric bill. So how are you going to be able to afford to play video games?
Exactly, and how are you going to afford those add-ons?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's... I won't mention the guy's name, but I'll tell you this story. He said, this were when PlayStation 3 were fairly new. He came up to me, I were in job centre at the time, and he were into his video games and things like that. And he said, look, I can't get this new PlayStation and all of that, and, I know there's add-ons and things, and I just don't have the money, you know.
Yeah.
And
I mean, Job Centre, the money from Job Centre, you don't get. Oh no, we won't go on to that.
no.
Cut this bit out.
But what I'm saying is, it's not fair that the people getting less money have to pay more for downloadable content.
Yeah, it's not that they pay more. It's just that they're getting less money, but it takes a larger percentage of what they receive than what someone else receives, who may be in a 32-hour job, you know, Monday to Friday, full-time work, who gets, call it, £1,500 a month. £60 to them, they can afford that. You know, once the bills have been paid, they've still got a bit of money to play around with. Someone who is on job seekers, that £60 is a lot of money. Whereas someone in full-time work, it's not as, you know, it's kind of a bit of a frivolous thing. You know, it's only £60 kind of thing, but there is a gap in the market where they could make it more of an approachable market to get into for people on a lower income, and they don't do that. It's all premium quality, premium price content, and some people just can't get into it for the pure fact they can't afford to, and it's not fair because at the moment the escapism and the stories that it offers to tell are, you know, they are quite a positive thing because people are experiencing stories and characters that they might not otherwise, because the pandemic sort of changed the people who might like to go out, you know, go travelling. They've not been able to, so they've gone into video games where they can travel around openly and meet people, and even online multiplayer, they can socialise with people all over the world. You know, they might have friends in other countries, they might have family in other countries who they've not spoken to, and it's a way to connect people, but it's not accessible to everyone based on financial status, and it should be.
Yeah, it's not like back in the day where you played your PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2, you know. You play your PlayStation 1, you can get straight in the game. You can have all your fun, you can play, you can just, you know, entertain yourself for the PlayStation 1. You can just get straight in the game, play all the add-ons which are already included in the game. You know, exactly like the PS2, but obviously with PS2 you had mods and things that you could download, but at the same time, when it came to the PS3, PS4 and PS5, that's when they were thinking, oh yeah, maybe we can get some more money from the consumers. We'll do these add-ons, we'll add movies to it as well, and extra scenes.
Yeah, the introduction of the PlayStation Store and Microsoft Store on Xbox during the 8th generation of consoles, it was the sort of turning point for the industry where the monetization and the pay-to-play, pay-to-win services became really an issue, a big issue, and a predatory issue. And there's also free-to-play. Now, free-to-play, it's false advertising. There's no other way of putting it. Free-to-play is not free-to-play. You download the game for free, yes. You play the game for free, yes. But you reach a certain point in that game, you will need to pay for extras. You will need to pay for story content. You will need to pay for improved gear and weapons to get to where you want to be, and to level up to the point where you are able to compete with other players evenly. Otherwise, you're just gonna miss out and lose out, and not be able to enjoy it to its fullest extent if you don't pay or if you can't pay. Again, it's back to the financial status thing.
And as well, going back to gambling as well, because that is what it is essentially.
Yeah, in certain respects, yeah, because you pay for a digital currency that's applicable to the game, but you don't know, you don't always know how much you're getting. But when you do know how much you're getting, the prices are ridiculous. The prices for the digital currency can be the price of a full game and then some. Yeah. You know, you can be spending £64 in real money on I don't know, 10,000 crystals in a game to be able to upgrade your gear and your character and your weapons and your powers. But again, this goes back to the accessibility thing, because it's if you play a if you play a free to play game,
Yeah.
and your financial status or income isn't as good as someone else's, free to play should be a good starting point for someone who is not in the best financial situation, because they don't have to spend anything on it. It's that
Yeah.
simple.
Yeah.
But the truth is, they do have to spend on it if they want to get the full experience of that game, and it's wrong. Games like Warframe wasn't too bad. Warframe's a free-to-play game, but
I've never played it, to be fair.
I have. It's quite good. I've never spent any money on it, but I have played it, and it is really enjoyable. There's a story there. You can get as far as you want to. Basically, it's like Space Ninjas, which just
Oh, that actually sounds pretty cool.
yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm gonna download it when this podcast's finished. But yeah, it's there are sort of pay to win services in that game, but they are optional. You don't have to do it, because everything that is behind a paywall in that game is also in the game itself to be unlocked at the right time. It's just, do you want to pay that money to get to that point sooner? Or you can just enjoy the full game as you are, just sort of.
That's the only problem, though. To entertain yourself with it, you have to pay for that stuff. I mean,
to get the best gear, you do have to pay in Warframe, but I don't, and it's one of those things. It's sort of a grind to play.
Yeah.
But it's the grind in Warframe is fun. There's grinds in other games that are not so fun. But I think that's bleeding over to single player games as well. Because like, if you look at Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I've not played Odyssey for a long time. But when I was playing it, it's just a very boring, long, drawn out grind, and it takes away the fun of the game and the experience and the escapism that Assassin's Creed was known for. Yeah, it used to be like a really good intuitive stealth game where you would sort of you'd have a target that you'd go after. You could hide in crowds, hide in hay bales, benches. You could sit on a bench and just kind of let them go by. And you could do environmental assassinations, and you think about how to use the environment around you to get the best outcome for the target you're after. And now it's just about, it's a numbers game basically. It's like, how much damage can this sword do compared to this sword, and it's just like, it's like a multiplayer game with the loot grind system and the XP and everything, but it's a single player game, and it's just nowhere near it's not even a shadow of its former self. It's nothing like it used to be, and it needs to really go back to its roots and rethink its standing and
to be fair,
what
though,
it actually is that it wants to accomplish.
To be fair, I know we're moving away from the subject, but Assassin's Creed Black Flag, I enjoyed that one.
Yeah, no, Black Flag were
That
like
were a good one.
the sort of the back end of Assassin's Creed as it were known, because then it really did start to change with ship combat and piracy. Again, that's not a bad thing. They added new features, but then they got to like Odyssey and Origins,
and you had to add more to it, didn't you?
and it got to like you were paying for skins, whereas before skins are like costumes. You were paying for. Sorry, you didn't have to pay for that because it were in the game anyway. You unlocked it through challenges, skill challenges or combat challenges, stealth challenges, whatever, that you learnt throughout playing the game to get, more content from it. But now it's just like, pay for this skin, and it might just be a recolouring of a skin you already have. And it's not like 50p, it's like £8 for this different coloured costume that you already own. Or it might just have a helmet added to it, and it's already a costume that you own, and it's just with a helmet, and it's still £8, and it's ridiculous. And that's why I've stopped playing Assassin's Creed, and I've not played it for a good few years now. And to be honest, until they kind of do go back to the drawing board with it, I don't think I will be doing, because it just doesn't interest me at the moment.
No, because you're going to be spending more and
Yeah.
more and more and more and more money on it.
Yeah, and they're expensive enough as it is, and it's not healthy. It's really not healthy to be preyed on and feel like you have to spend money to get the most out of a game you've already paid for.
The simple fact to a video game, you buy it, you enjoy it, you play it for the adventure.
Yeah.
You play it to be something, not entirely to be something else or someone else, but to live in someone else's skin, if that makes sense.
Yeah, to
Like,
experience a story that's not yours, but be able to affect that story and experience it.
yeah.
And the characters around your character.
But the purchases are stopping people from exploring that full range.
Yeah. I agree.
That's the thing.
I mean, there's a lot of positive things with video games as well, but this is a massive issue at the moment.
Yeah.
It does need addressing, and people do need to speak up about it, and companies need to take responsibility as well. They need to say, look, we've had a look at our business practices, and they're not, they'll never do this because they are a business. They don't, as much as they say we're for the players, we care about you, we care about what you want.
It's a selling point, isn't it? It's a way to sell it to people.
They don't care about you. They care about your wallet.
Yeah.
They care about your money. They don't care about what you want. They care about what you want to spend your money on, what you're willing to spend your money on. And all this
And I bet a lot of people have gone into debt because of that as well. Have gone into debt.
All this customer feedback and the reviews and everything, it just feeds into that kind of, we'll give you this, and it'll cost you this much when it's released. But if you want this feature, it's going to cost, and are you willing to pay that? And people do. That's the thing, because the businesses,
I can believe it.
Businesses know that people will pay these prices to get what they want. And what they want is what companies can offer.
Your money.
Yeah.
Simple.
And then companies take what you've got.
Yeah. The basic fact is your money. Bye-bye.
It's a cycle, but it's not a healthy cycle, and it does need addressing.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of very predatory business practices in video gaming in video gaming at the moment, and it needs to change. People need to, think about the state of the world at the moment. Think about people's situations. Try and relate to that if they can.
Yeah.
They should be able to, because we're all in the same boat at the moment. We have been for 18 months now, roughly. And
maybe a bit before that as well, because things were already heading downhill anyway.
Yeah. They do need to kind of be a bit more empathetic towards people and their sort of their way of working.
And their situation as well.
And they need to be more approachable, because, people do go to these companies and say, why is this like this? And they get ignored, or they get kind of laughed at. And it's wrong.
Oh, yeah.
And it really is. And when things do get bad for companies, especially like with the loot box controversy with Star Wars Battlefront 2 by EA.
A very popular game as well.
Popular, yeah, and it's better than it was a few years ago. It's been sort of fixed a lot, and the loot boxes, I'm not sure they've been taken out, but I think they've been reduced in their sort of predatory aggressiveness.
Yeah.
But people were going crazy, because basically someone added up the amount of hours you would have to play that game and to get every single item, and it was I think it was about 66,000 hours. Yeah, to get every single piece of content and every single character in that game, about 66,000 hours, and that's how grindy it was. That's how unrewarding the gameplay was, like in terms of experience points.
But I'm guessing You had to spend money as well
Yeah,
to get
sort of get past that sort of timestamp of 66,000 hours, which is just ridiculous. You could pay, but when you paid, you didn't know what you were paying for. That's the thing, and you could end up with duplicates of things you already had. So you paid again and got potentially, something different, but also potentially the same thing for a third time. And it's
not fair.
No, and people were going absolutely mental about it, and they were right to. So EA were forced to apologise. This actually ended up being a court case, and EA was sued, and loot boxes were actually banned in certain countries because they were classed as gambling, and gambling is illegal in those countries. So where gambling was illegal, loot boxes in video games were banned, which is right, because I think they should be banned from video games because they have no place there.
Well, it's not fair, because if you're paying for the same thing, what's the point in even paying for it?
Yeah.
It's I bet there's got to be some positive stuff to buying things, though.
Yeah, but like, if you
It can't be all negative.
No, if you know what you're paying for and how much it costs, and that you only have to pay for that once to receive it, fair enough. But if you're paying for items again and again and again randomly, and you don't know what you're getting, that is wrong.
Oh yeah,
There's
I understand that.
There's 66,000 hours worth of content in that game, and you're paying for a tiny, tiny percentage of the entire package over and over and over and over again. And it's actually been, I can't remember how much it cost, but there's somewhere out there there's a table, like a graph of all the content and how much it costs and how many times roughly you'd have to pay for it, and it adds it up, and it's in the sort of tens of thousands of pounds. Now, if you're spending tens of thousands of pounds on one video game, something's wrong.
Yeah.
And there's a game called Counter-Strike Go, CS:GO, and it's been around for years, and it's like an online multiplayer first-person shooter, tactical, squad-based game. And that's got a marketplace on it, and again, it's about paying for skins for your weapons, skins for your characters. Now, skins for your characters in a first-person game, paying for those, I don't agree with, because you can't see your character. Other people can, but not you. So I don't see the point in that. And you can pay for, like I say, weapon skins, different weapons, or map packs, and all that content altogether was over £6,000 for one game. To get everything in it was over £6,000.
It's depressing, really.
It is,
It
because
is.
if people, if greed wasn't a factor, people would be able to feel like they could enjoy it and trust these companies. But it's just, the basic thing is, it's greed.
Oh yeah.
It's just how much can we get from you? What are you willing to pay? And what do you want from us? And it's ridiculous. It really is wrong, and it needs looking at. And especially
Well. To be fair, their question, what do they want from us? It doesn't really count, because they're creating the content. They're not asking the people.
No, they do ask for feedback on what people want to see, and then when people respond, they'll say, "Oh yeah, we're adding it in, and it'll be in this time," and da-da-da. But what they do,
And it never happens.
it does happen, but they add it at peak times. So like they'll add it in summer when kids are off school, or Christmas when people, are buying presents, and they'll bump the prices right up. So they might add a story pack that would, it shouldn't be an add-on because it should already be in the game. But
Yeah.
they'll release it for a full price premium game, like say Assassin's Creed again. This happens with other games as well, but Assassin's Creed is it's really bad for it at the moment. And they'll release it in like summer or around Christmas to get the most money out of people, and they'll release it for a price point that is above what it's worth. Basically, they'll release like a 5 mission add-on pack for about $12.99. You know, it's not worth it. It really
No.
isn't.
No.